So tell me, Peter, you are living in London right now. Do you maintain the same lifestyle as in Belgium?
That's a difficult question, because when I was living in Belgium, I was a student, so I didn't really have a lot of financial means to do stuff. I was a student, so I didn't really have a lot of income. I did student jobs over the summer to make some money, and I made a little bit of money by playing football, but that was not really a lot of money compared to like now that I have a relatively stable income. I think compared to the living standard that I had with my parents at home, I think that is probably more or less the same. Although I would say that um, the reason why it's more or less the same is that I make more money here than my parents would be making back in Belgium, because London is just compared to like Ghent especially, there is quite a big difference in terms of the cost of living, and more particularly the cost of like rent and housing is quite a big difference.
So would you say it's more expensive to live in London than it is in Belgium?
Yes, I would definitely say so. I think the general cost of living is probably more or less similar, although I think still a little bit more expensive. But the biggest difference is the price for housing. Like the rent that you pay here in London is probably 2 to 3 times what you would be paying in Belgium. And then obviously it depends a bit on whether it's in Brussels or Ghent or like outside of Ghent.
Yeah, because I looked up some information and I saw on the website of your company that you studied at the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
And would you say that this experience was an added value to the job you are exercising now?
Yeah, I think without my year in Chicago, I probably would not have been here. Well, from two perspectives, I think the most important point is that you need to, in order to work here in London, either you need to be qualified in the UK, or as in my case, you need to be qualified in New York. And without my LLM, I would just not have the necessary qualifications to sit for the New York bar and therefore to be qualified in New York. So I needed that.
So your job consists of facilitating acquisitions between companies and financing them through loans from banks and high yield bonds. Can you explain this a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think the main clients from Simpson, which is the law firm that I'm working at, they are like private equity clients, which means they're like entities that raise funds from third-party investors, which are mainly like huge pensions funds, endowments funds from universities that have like a lot of money, and they invest part of that into private equity, which is a more risky asset class than a lot of other asset classes. And the main reason for that is that it's less liquid. The people put their money in these kind of funds for like 5 to 10 years. So you need to be able to, not use that money for 5 to 10 years, and not everybody is able to do that. And then with that money, these like investment professionals, I would call them, they go around in Europe mostly, for at least for the private equity funds that we work for here. They go around Europe and they try to find companies that are either listed on an exchange and that are public entities, or they try to find currently private entities that they try to buy from other people that they think like, look, if we put in place a new management, or if we change this or that in that company, then we can make it more profitable, we can grow the company. They buy, for example, a Belgian entity which currently doesn't have a business in the Netherlands and in France and in Spain, for example.
So if I'm correct, like private equity funds are funds that collect money from different investors and then they invest that money in a company and then help it grow and then resell it with profit within 5 years, for example.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, we can't talk about London without asking a question about the Brexit, because it's everywhere. It's in newspaper, it's on the TV. But does the Brexit negotiation affect the company you are working for?
To a certain extent, it does. To another extent, it doesn't. I think the so Brexit has a political impact, and a lot of the stuff that we do, and the companies that are like, if you issue high yield bonds or you want to do an IPO, that's very much influenced by the political environment at the time. If Trump says something stupid, then that has an impact on the markets and on what investors think might happen, and then that then has an impact on how much people want to invest in specific companies. I think so that it definitely has an impact on the market in general.
As that it will have consequences for you personally because you have the Belgian nationality?
Well, at some point, and in the beginning I wasn't, because it took quite a long time to know what would happen, and then suddenly with Boris Johnson becoming in charge, that changed quite rapidly, and then suddenly before the 31st of October you needed to have some sort of a status, and then the law firm helped me to get like a pre-settled status. So now I have a pre-settled status with me, which means I can stay here for the next 5 years.
Okay, so thank you very much for this interesting interview, and also for your time. I wish you the best of luck in London, and maybe someday we will meet, and then I would like to hear some more stories in person. But for now, thank you very much and goodbye.